But first, amid reports late last week that there are now more than 300,000 cases in Victoria that remain unsolved, today we learned that there is a sex crime committed in the state every 30 minutes. In the year to June, more than 4,000 alleged offenders were responsible for over 17,000 sex crimes in the state. And that equates to more than 4 offences per offender. Now, this is a 10-year high. Here to discuss this and more, Shadow Police Minister David Southwick. You know, I keep wishing I could have someone on to talk about the issues and things going on in Victoria that started on a positive note, that gave us a bit of hope. I hope you'll take us down that journey when you say what you're going to do should you get elected. But, I mean, every single day, David, there's stats that get worse and worse and worse. And when you've got this volume of sex crimes, something happening to someone in Victoria, most likely women or children, every 30 minutes. Where's this Premier who says she stands up for women and girls?
Yeah, thanks, Peter. And the answer is MIA, missing in action. And this is just not good enough. And what we will do and what Victorians are desperate for is to put victims first, not criminals, and give them a second, third, 50 chances. And we proposed a policy called Right to Ask, Right to Know, which is information about who is the partner that you're dating, information that they've done in the UK, Clare's Law, to be able to ensure that, particularly you've got women that can feel safe in a relationship. The government rejected that. The government's got no answers, whereas we need that. The Victorian Law Reform Commission had a series of recommendations back in 2021. That's still waiting. No answers, no commitment, nothing from a government that's big on talk, little on action.
When it gets hard, she hides from the media. I mean, I was no fan of Daniel Andrews, but he at least fronted the cameras. She hides away. We saw that last week with the revelation of a biological man being in a women's prison in Victoria. She hid for 3 days. She comes out and says, nothing to do with me, even though it was the Andrews government and she was the deputy who put the boss of prisons, Larissa Strong, in the job. That's not good enough. Victorians are angry at that. Talk to me about what you would do with men, biological men, in a women's prison.
Well, here is a classic case in point. You have a pedophile that is assaulted a young girl being put his daughter in a women's prison. A system failure. And as our leader, Brad Batten, has said, we will not do that. This person, and we need to think about the safety of all Victorians. And whether you're in prison and you're a vulnerable woman being exposed to a pedophile, that's simply unacceptable. And it's a government that just doesn't do it. Again, big on talk, little on action.
What about the case of a 15-year-old boy who was charged with violent crime, but the judge let him off on bail to go overseas on a family holiday with mum and dad to Europe? How is that good enough?
Yeah, our bail system is broken.
So how do you fix it?
We have a Premier that says we have the strongest bail laws in the state.
They're running taxpayer-funded ads to that effect.
Costing us all, but they are the weakest. And you can't have carve-outs for young people. If you commit a serious crime, no matter what your age, then you need to face consequences. And particularly we're seeing machete crime every single day, home invasions. This young alleged crook, a robber, using a weapon, 5 home invasions and gets rewarded with a European vacation. That person should be locked up.
But where's the parents too? I mean, if mum and dad have got the coin to go to Europe, if they're saying that the son deserves an overseas holiday, where are the parents? Why aren't they saying, lock him up, 5 home invasions with a weapon, our son needs to be taught a lesson. If we're not going to teach him the lesson, put him on remand.
Well, that's a very, very good question. At the end of the day, it sends all the wrong messages. If you allow a young offender to get away with this, then what does that say to other young people? They use social media, they all talk about it. Before you know it, they're all committing these types of crimes. You've got to send a message, tough love. These individuals need to be locked up to know, you know what, you're going to do something serious, you're going to face consequences. There's been none of that in Victoria. This is a lawless state. It didn't happen overnight. It's been 10 years in the making. And a government that talks tough on crime, but is the weakest government and Premier I think this state has ever seen.
Are you prepared to sack people that are running our prisons, sack people that are, senior echelons of the police force to force change?
we have to do that. We cannot accept what we're seeing at the moment. The system's broken and Victorians expect to feel safe. Community safety has to be the number one priority of any government before you can do a whole range of other things. If you can't go to bed at night, you can't walk the streets, then the government's failed you. And so we've got to get that right. There's economics and housing and all the rest of it we'll do, but we've got to ensure the community's safe.
I can't let October 7 happen tomorrow without, you're a leading light in the Victorian Jewish community. I can't let that happen tomorrow without asking you, given the events we've seen overseas just the other day in the UK and everything that's gone on for the last 2 years, how is your community coping?
Very difficult. It's been tough, and I want to thank you, Peta, for your support. It's been so steadfast. But I was with the community this morning. We did a run in Caulfield Park. We've got more events that we'll do tomorrow. But the community, particularly in Australia, felt let down. What has happened overseas and the trauma of October 7, people murdered, hostages taken, and all of that's unfolding. But the fact that that spills over into Australia, synagogues firebombed, targets, and then we saw the Manchester as just a horrific reminder about what's happening internationally, but also it's been happening here.
Yeah.
A weak federal government, a weak state government has allowed the problems of the Middle East to spill over into Australia, into Victoria, and it's left community vulnerable and feeling unsupported. This is a weak and horrible government. No matter who you are, no matter where you come from, you should be able to, again, have the government having your back, and this government's turned their back on the Jewish community.
We are all thinking of you tomorrow.
Thank you, Peta.